this week's Rockstar Superhero. Marlee XX is here to stay. She's a contemplative talent, aware of her persona and style, and confidently operates within a landscape that she will soon own. I'm so happy to have had her on my show. There's going to come a day in the not-so-distant future where Marlee and her vocal style, whether it's in rap, soul, or afrobeat, well, she will be very publicly recognized. She's already on the nominations and awards train, and more is coming, I assure you. I'm just so grateful to have experienced her wit and charm firsthand, and now it's your turn. These are the secrets behind Marlee XX, and you're listening to the new Rockstar Superhero.
I know you're going to hit the big time. I don't have people on my show who I don't dig or believe in. I mean, I really want to make that clear because PR companies, they hit me all the time. And admittedly, there's a lot of stuff that I might like, but it just kind of really has to hit me for some reason, right? It has to connect with me. And I know this is going to sound completely cheesy and maybe even almost, I don't want to call it sexist, but being the fact that I'm a man and you're a woman, I think the worst part about people like myself is we tend to go with the surface rather than going deep, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever want to come off as the guy who's just about the surface, but I will say that when I first saw your photo, the first thing I said is that woman's eyes are fantastic and they communicate to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the reason I want to preface this whole interview with that is to say that people don't give people a chance. They listen to what they're creating and they just automatically poo-poo it or they not, right? But they don't ever give somebody a chance to be a full, complete human, to be a soul, to be a physical representation, to be an artist and a creative. They look at one piece and they say, how can I make this a commodity?
Right.
And I think that's really what's going to set you apart because, you know, you look at somebody like Beyonce, who is quite lovely and also a fantastic singer and fantastic performer. But if they just went on her looks, well, that would be a fool's game, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you're here. I believe in you, Marlee.
Thank you. That is such a huge compliment, and I'm just grateful for that, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I always start with the artist journey. I love to know where you started, what formed you, what gave you life, and not just the physical aspect of that, but what infused your spirit with creativity. So do you mind maybe giving us a little rundown about, baby Marlee, what she was like, and then what was that first moment that spark lit on you? You know what I mean?
Man, it's really been a journey. Honestly, it was not intentional, I would say. It was more inherent, I guess.
Okay.
It was just something that I felt like I needed to do and that I felt like I had a connection to.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was really, really afraid to do music. I was really afraid to sing in front of people. I wasn't confident at all. I didn't think my voice was good. I wasn't confident in my songs. I just would write a bunch of songs. I probably started writing songs in elementary school. I just had all these books. And I would go outside and practice dance moves for my music video, in the street alone. But I never honestly saw that as a precursor to anything. Because I was afraid. So I got an opportunity. I saw a audition for a performing arts middle school in my area. I'm from the DC area.
Gotcha.
And Maryland, PG County, right outside of it. And I saw an audition for a performing arts middle school. So at the time I was very sure of myself and I signed myself up And I told my dad, I said, you're going to take me to this performing arts school audition. I'm going to audition. I know you want me to go to another school, but like, so this is what I want to do. So I got into that school and I started doing choir. We did chamber choir. I did honors choir, all state choir, and we did competitive things as well. And, you know, I just really learned my place. I learned my voice. I started learning music, like reading music, and it just really connected with me even more. And from there, I joined a go-go band, if you're familiar with go-go music from the DC area. Yes, it's my favorite. But I joined my first go-go band when I was 15 years old. And we started performing. I had shows twice a weekend with my band at 16, 17. Jeez. I skipped prom for a show. And I really didn't want to go at all. So I skipped prom for a show. And that's when I really found my voice. Because that fright, it still was there. But, in the go-go band, the structure is like 9 to 12 people. So the front line are the people that are, on the mic, basically. So the female, with all due respect, I don't think it was a disrespect thing, but the females are kind of the lesser used, or lesser up front. Yeah, it's kind of to the side. We play our role, but that was okay for me because I was really scared at the time. But I started to find my voice. I started to rap. I started to like emulate Nicki Minaj and Lil' Kim, and like throw their raps in there. And then once I like really got comfortable with rapping, I started writing my own. And they put me in front of the band at one point. And I was like, well, if you guys are going to put me in the front, then I might as well make it mine. And I wrote my first project.
Wow. So now I want to interrupt you. Okay. So,
please.
So here's the thing. You told me in the very beginning, at the outset, that you were terrified, basically. I mean, you didn't emphasize maybe quite that much, but you were pretty afraid, and yet here, in middle school, you're telling your dad, I got to do this thing. I don't know how you conflate the two, because I mean, I get it. Passion, I've been talking about this a lot lately. Passion actually refers to suffering, right? That's where the word really comes from. It means to suffer. So when people are saying, yeah, I'm passionate about music, okay, I guess you're going to suffer for it. But there's a strange thing that all artists deal with, and I'm a former session musician, so I understand this compulsion to do something, no matter how terrified you are. I mean, truthfully, I'm terrified every time I do a podcast interview. I suck at this, but I'm earnest. I care about the artist, so I just keep going. I just figure I keep going, and clearly I'm not making any money. I'm doing it because
you're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Well, but same to you, right? But how does that happen? I mean, there had to have been something in you that overrode that fear that said, I don't care if I'm scared. I got to do this because I need it, or I want it, or, you know what I mean? Like, what was the trigger for you?
It really is a feeling. Like, it's crazy to say, but I just felt like I needed to do it. Like I always say, like,
God-given
I wouldn't
talent.
say this isn't a dream, but it's a calling. Like, I really feel like I had to do this and figure it out. I've always felt that way. So that opportunity got put in front of me, and I was like, oh, well, this is confirmation. I guess I should do it. And the worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to accept me, and I don't do music, or maybe I do it another way. Because I was into fashion. I wanted to go to fashion school for a long time. And then when I saw the opportunity, I was like, that's what I want to do. And once I stepped my foot in, things started happening.
Yeah. And it mixes so well with what you do, right? Because you're out front, and now you have this sort of iconography thing happening, right? Because you're coming out with a statement about who you are physically, spiritually, mentally, talent-wise, right? You're a full package on the stage in front of us.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love that.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of etymology, like, what do names mean?
Yes.
And I'm sure you have a story, but, I was looking up your name, and I know one other Marlee I've ever met in my life. And I never, of course, at the time I bothered looking her name up, but according to Wikipedia, your name means elderberry tree.
Really?
Or marshy meadow. I thought they were both very strange. But then right below it, the Urban Dictionary says your name means a pretty but unusual girl.
Okay, that's
right?
it.
So there it is. So you're a tree and you're unusual.
Yes.
But I find this really oddly interesting. I'm wondering if you've ever considered that your name, in a sense, equals your destination, right? Or the direction in your life, how your life is influenced and how your life is influencing others. Have you ever thought about what your name means in context with that?
I definitely have. I've looked it up actually, but I only found the marshmallow part and I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really inspired by that. I didn't
Yeah.
know the other part. I never looked in the Urban Dictionary, but I do believe that. I definitely believe it has something to do with your destiny. And I love elderberries. I stand by elderberry
There it
plants.
is.
Yes. So that's that.
See, that's the true secret. Now we know your diet. We know how
Yes.
you've remained so healthy. Is
Literally took
you're a
some
fan of
elderberry syrup
elderberries.
before this interview. So look it up, try it.
Okay, so you and I both know that YouTube or Spotify, name a place where people are putting their music, right? Uh,
Yep.
there's way too much. There's way too much content. This is not 1975. There aren't 10 record labels. There's 1,000 record labels, and none of them have any power.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you do to stand out in a world that is overrun by average?
Wow. It's an everyday thing. And I believe that the average is just that. It's average. We've seen it before. It's the
Yeah,
status quo. It's following the rules. So I try not to follow the rules. I
yeah.
try not to be the status quo. I try not to be what they think I am by looking at me. And I try to show up in as many different places as possible. And that's why I'm into multi genres as an artist because, like, okay, you heard me on that Afrobeat song, but
Mm-hmm.
whoa, is that her like rapping?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, is that her here? Like, is that her on a acoustic song? Like, yeah, it is. So it's like I can sneak up on you from every direction, whereas a lot of other people don't because they stay in one lane. So I think that's really been my key to kind of sticking out amidst all that.
Yeah, but if you had to pick one thing, I mean, if you said this is Marlee, this is it. Like if somebody holds a gun to your head, you only get to pick one. You only get to be one type of artist or one type of one. You only have to fit in one genre.
Hmm.
What would you do? What would you give up?
I'd be dead.
God bless you, young lady.
I'd be dead
It's a
because I
great
really
answer.
can't. I can't pick one. I don't think that's my destiny. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just couldn't pick. To be honest with you, I'm still really flowing and finding, and I don't know what the definition of it will be, or the destination will be, but
Yeah.
I can and like to and will do it all,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Well, I mean, fortunately for you, there's a lot of artists who've come before you who broke those molds, right? That didn't
Yeah.
stick to one genre. And I mean, Beyonce again is another example of somebody who started out in a girl group, right, and ended
Hmm.
up not only a solo artist but a force. You know,
Yeah.
you know. Um, my wife and I were talking the other day about Amy Winehouse,
Mm.
and we were listening to, we went, I don't know, we were feeling a little maudlin or something, and pulled up YouTube and listened to a whole bunch of her early live performances when she was clean and sober and things were going well. And she was such an unbelievably monstrous talent that it feels so unfair that that life caught up with her, that she
Yeah.
couldn't overcome those demons. What do you, I'm not suggesting that you struggle with issues or anything like that, but over the course of your young life, what has gotten in the way of Marlee's success, and what have you done to overcome it?
I would definitely say being insecure and giving people too much credit, and also being a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it's a big one.
I am doesn't always rub people the right way. I'm not mean or anything, but sometimes confidence brings out other people's insecurities, or the fact that
Absolutely.
I'm very sure about myself doesn't make somebody comfortable who isn't sure about themselves. So
Yeah.
I would like lower myself to that so they wouldn't think I was trying to be better than them or make them feel a bad way. So I would lower myself. And I believe that's why it's
Hmm.
making my journey take much longer because I was so busy either dimming my light or trying to take everybody with me. I was trying to take people who didn't want to go, and I just wasn't worrying about myself. In my
Yeah.
bands, I was like, we all have to do this. We all want this. And they're like, we don't want this. So I definitely did not know my worth and I didn't stand in my light completely.
Mm. God, that's so beautiful, Marlee. I mean, you're speaking to me even. Um, I'm a mid-50s, drummer. And yeah, wow, that actually hit me in the core right now. I think the struggle that most artists have is there's a little bit of crazy in us, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Excuse me, there's not a little, there's a lot, and
A lot.
a lot. And of course, people who aren't artists don't understand that.
Hmm.
But and I'm not suggesting that you need any counsel on this, whether it's yourself or management or PR or whomever. But I would tell you that, yeah, please. I mean, just from your new friend Rob here is do not let their fears get in the way of you. Do not
Yeah.
compromise yourself. And it's not to say that your power makes them uncomfortable and that's too bad. What it is saying your power needs to step into its light, into its power, and remain there and amplify,
Yeah.
because it does two things. One, it finds you your actual audience who loves your power and who vibes on it, who needs to know that Marlee's got them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it
Very
does.
much. It does.
And those who are sitting on the sidelines, those pseudo fans that are affected by your power, that don't know what to do with it and feel like somehow you're talking against them and their songs, right? Like they're diss tracks or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
What you're actually going to do in your strength and in your kindness, say off stage when you're speaking to them, is they're going to realize, oh, it's not about them, and you're going to elevate them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well
you
said.
have to remain pure to who you are. I mean, I get it. I think you are, but man, I mean, this is an old dad talking. You just, man, do not let them take away your light, Marlee. It's
Heard.
it's beautiful stuff.
Heard. It's something I'm learning. Even in the most recent years, I'm
Yeah.
definitely putting that into practice.
Well, we never stop learning it. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, outside of stupid memes on social media, it's amazing how much I've learned just in the past few years with some really obvious things my parents told me, things my friends and neighbors and pastor and business workmates and whatever have told me over the years. The same stuff. I can't name one at the moment. But the point being is that all of a sudden you finally have, after 50 plus years, the aha.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful to hear that you're having your aha now, or one of them at least.
Yes. It feels like one of many and many more to come.
Yeah, cool.
But
Well,
yeah,
okay. So you got a couple of new singles, if I
yes.
read this correctly. But Frequency dropped last week on my daughter's birthday, so good choice.
Happy birthday to her, belated.
Yeah, she's 30, so that's good. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, now this single is really different, and let me explain. So I'm a drummer.
yes.
And I have never, ever in my life, I'm not kidding, when I sat down and really analyzed it, I said, oh my God, I've never heard a song quite like this that kind of refuses to go where it's expected. And then it's suddenly over. And I love it. It's very spare. It's very different. Um, Even though it's technically in 4/4, it's actually technically in 12/8, which is,
Okay. I learned you told me something new today.
yeah, it is. It's got a triplet feel to that pulse, right?
Hmm.
Which is never used in any hip hop or soul. Not that time signature. It's just not done. It's not done. And I'm telling you, I fell in love with it instantly. And so I want to quote you, Because I said God told me I have one job, and that's to raise the entire frequency of the universe.
Yes.
And that really speaks to me as a man who I believe no matter what a piece of shit I am at times, I'm a man filled with the Spirit. And I care about my fellow humans, and I want to impact them in a way. I want my frequency to resonate at a very high wavelength, and you're doing that. So if you would, tell me about that song. Tell me about your perspective and what you're trying to accomplish, because it's easy to say that, but it's a bitch to do it.
Yeah, really. I'm loving this. This song, actually, the sample you're speaking of is a friend of mine named Mike Walls.
Gotcha.
And the song, he's a motivational speaker, he's an artist, and just an overall really like electrifying person. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And the beat was produced by a good friend of mine, Lightfoot Music, and Lightfoot and Mike Walls worked together.
Gotcha.
So when he gave me the beat, Mike was already on it.
Oh.
And so the sample was already there.
Oh my God.
I had nothing to do with that. And when he sent me the package, I'm like, whoa, like I too resonated with the intro, but I had never done a beat like that. Never done a song like that. I had no idea what I was going to do with it, but I really admire artists like Kendrick Lamar and Kid Cudi and artists that so really have that energy, you know, just coming hard on a beat. Jaden Smith, even when he came out with kind of like his more enlightened and like really kind of hard rap, I was like, I really, really love this energy. So I just needed to pull it out because I wanted to show that side of myself. And he finally gave me a canvas to do so. Wow. So I was inspired because the beat was already called Frequency, crazy enough. And a lot of times I am already inspired I'm really inspired by music primarily. The music that's there, the name that the track might be, I take inspiration from all of those things. So once I saw the title and heard the intro, I was like, I already know what it's about. And I started writing the verses, and I couldn't think of the hook for the longest. I almost didn't finish the song because I couldn't think of that little hook part there. I didn't know what to do. The music was strange, but the pieces just started to come together and come together and come together. And that's really like, I know it's like cliche, but it was really like a download.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So I brought this up in a couple other shows, but I want to bring this up with you because I think you'll get it. I'm a big fan of, and I totally believe this is true. I know people are going to roll their eyes, but I believe it's true. I believe everything we do has purpose. Everything we do has meaning, and everything we encounter, whether it's a human being or a rock on the ground, is made for us. Yes. It's made for a moment, because if there's a God, and I do believe there's a God, then it is orchestrated in a way to allow us to be free, standing, complete human beings, able to do what we choose to do, to absorb the consequences of bad choices, to enjoy the elevation of good choices. But every little thing has purpose, because every little thing, like I said, even a rock on the ground has a point. There's an interaction that's going on. And I've discovered that when I go hiking, I stop listening to music. I don't, now when I go hiking, I don't put, headphones on or anything. I go out and just listen to the nature. And my cat just walked up. I don't know. I was
going to say, my cat has been in the background the whole time. I don't know if you can hear her.
So everybody, that's Salsa. She's 16 years old Salsa. And she's tired. Oh my God. I thought I put her away. Anyways, I was thinking about this a couple of years ago. I was out walking one day and I was really searching, and I hope, and I'm sorry for the side, but I hope this touches you. I was out walking because I was searching for my place in life. You know what I mean? I mean, even in my mid 50s, I'm still doing it anyway. But I'm jamming up this hill and I'm sweating like a pig and I'm feeling kind of crappy about myself. And then I stop in the middle of this forest and I'm completely by myself. And one of my favorite things in the Northwest is the smell of a forest after it rains. And I'm just like taking it in. It's that slight sweetness, the moss and everything that's coming off the ground. And I looked down and I saw this rock on the ground, and I saw this root, and the rock was sitting on this root, and the trail forked off to the right and to the left. And it occurred to me that I have choices. Right now I have choices.
Yeah.
And they didn't just play to that moment. It wasn't just like, oh, should I take the right trail or the left trail? Which one will get me back to my my starting point? But it was that route. I'm noticing that route, and I wonder if anybody has ever noticed the route, let alone the rock that was teetering on top of the root. And it occurred to me that that root and that rock and those trails and what was going on in my mind all had to do with the same thing, that my creator knew exactly where I was going to be on that day. And he made that for me to notice and to calculate it, so I would therefore step forward. It doesn't matter which path I took, step forward with purpose, believe in it, and I will step into my truth. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's beautiful and profound, and something that I honestly believe myself.
Yeah. So that's what I think about with frequency, and honestly, why we're even talking, because when I saw your promo pack, when I heard the music, when I looked at your face and saw those eyes, when I felt you come off the page, and I realized that this is somebody who's going somewhere that I want to know as a human, as a friend, not just as a commodity. Yes. So I'm wondering, have you had those experiences out in the wild, or do you have those experiences when you're writing songs?
I do. I actually, pray to the higher power that I'm constantly connected with whatever in this real world that can communicate spiritually to me, whether it's confirmation or a message or something I need to hear. I really do stay connected and in tune so I can read and see those things, because I didn't always have that. But I do, even like I said, how I joined choir and went to the performing arts school, and then things started happening. I go with the flow, like literally. So like I go with the least resistance. That's how I know it's for me. So I got into school, it was for me. Those things started going into place. When I moved to LA, things started falling into place. I didn't even know for sure if I wanted to move to LA. I gave myself a month to be here. I said, if things fall into place, I'm supposed to be here. Immediately, things started falling into place. And they have been ever since I've been here. So that's kind of my journey with it, is just, if I take a step, and then things are filling in and things are happening, I know that's where I'm supposed to go. But if things are really tough, it doesn't work out, it's hard, it makes me feel bad, I know that that's not the direction for me.
Yeah. Well, that's why business coaches, counselors, friends all kind of say the same thing, which is, look, if you're going to live a life that's going to suck, you might as well do what you love.
Yes.
and not to say that it's going to suck, but you follow me, right?
Parts of it do suck. So you do have to do what you love, because I love this, but the industry is not great all the time.
Oh yeah.
People you meet are not great.
Yeah.
The
you never
environment
make
is not always great. Right. You don't ever feel great about yourself, So there's definitely a lot of negatives that come along with it. So you gotta be prepared.
Well, there's an awful lot of people, it's this stupid idea in America, this celebrity thing, because they conflate the two. They say it's the same thing, and it's not. Success and celebrity is not even kind of on the same page.
Not at all.
I can't remember the name of the guy, but he was on A Different World. The boyfriend of Lisa Bonet's character. And he's like a Target guy or a Trader Joe's, like a cashier for real.
Yeah.
And
that guy. Yep.
And people talk down about him like it's how pathetic, what a loser, he couldn't stay on the top. And I'm like, do you understand how this works? There is you never pay your dues. You get the gig. A few people get the gig and there's something about them that pops and they get the next gig. But those are they're those in the 1%. Those are the 1% of the 1% of the 1%ers,
Yes.
So you've got to just do what you love,
I believe that.
Not that I'm not saying what you don't already know, but so So let's talk about Only You. Oh, excuse me, Only One, not Only You.
Mm-hmm.
Only It is Only One now that I say
Only
it, right?
one. Yep.
Okay. That's a much more traditional melodic groove vibe. I would be so bold, to say it features your vocal stylings and range really well.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know you well enough to know, if it's your best work, but I think it's just so easy to listen to and so melodic and groovy that, like, if anyone's paying attention, they're going to fall in love with Marlee right there, So what do you think about that piece?
I love that piece, and it goes so well with the double release because I'm releasing a full length project next year, and it's really
Gotcha.
a long time coming.
Yeah.
And it's really showing who I am now, outside of my band, with all these changes and growth. So that's really what the project represents. But, we were kind of in a weird place, like, what are we going to release as the single, before the end of the year? Because we have a lead single that's coming out at the top of next year. But we were like, what are we going to do now to give people something? And my mixing engineer on here, Sam Garfield, was like, let's do a double release and let's show the sides of the range of you. So they'll be really excited to listen to this project. So we'll give them this really hard song, and then we'll give them this really soft melodic song where they can hear you rap and they can really hear you sing.
Right.
And I was like, I think that's a really good idea. And then it also gives people an alternative who may not resonate with frequency because of, whatever reasons, and vice versa. So I really love that song. It's again produced by Lightfoot, and the unique samples and stuff he uses in the song just inspires me so much. Like, that vocal sample in the background was already there, and it inspired my melody for the hook. And it really just comes from true experience. I was dealing with a guy, and I was really realizing that what's the point of all this other stuff, like, what's the point of continuing to play the field? And I really just want this one thing and this one person. And it came out, and I what can I say? I've been wanting to let my vocals shine, and this was the one. And I'm happy you heard that, and I'm happy the people can hear that.
Oh yeah. No, it's a really good example. I mean, of course, I've listened to other material that you've done as well, because I really
people don't know I can sing.
Yeah, you know what?
Interestingly enough,
but that's how I heard you first.
Yeah,
right. I heard you sing, right, and I was like, okay, I'm attracted to this sound. I'm attracted to this style and the image that you've created. The name obviously pops. The XX part. I'd actually like to ask you a little bit about that too.
Sure.
But I think it's just it's a great demonstration of who you are, and the best part is it's not necessarily indicative of the direction. It's just showing, but look at what I can do.
Yeah, that's really what these songs are for. I just want to show people. It's like, you can choose what you like, and together we can choose where this goes. But I want to show everyone what I can do, where my ear is going, what I'm interested in. Like, I love Afrobeats, love Afrobeats. And I love Afrobeat artists, and just having like Timmy, who crosses those lines between Afrobeat and R&B on the song. I was just like, yes, it came together so well.
Yeah, there's a sultriness to it that, and I think that's the right word. But there's a, there's a humidity to the song. You know what I mean?
That's the word. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, you're welcome. You'll have to use that.
Throwing that in the press release.
Next one, man. Rob says the song is wet. Oh my God. Well, so you're an advocate for the mental health community.
Yes, huge.
I'm a big proponent of that as well. And I don't know if you've looked any of this up, but I want to share a story with you, because I'd like to talk about your story without talking getting too personal. But I was that guy that grew up in this sort of perfect family environment, or so I thought. I mean, as much as, and I still believe I grew up in a wonderful, I did. I was very fortunate. I grew up in a very loving, honorable, encouraging home. My parents really pushed me forward as a musician, encouraged me to try things out. They were also fiercely protective, and some of that got in the way at times, but it is what it is. So I get married, and I have a fantastic wife. She has a fantastic family. But over the years, I've discovered as I've gotten older, all of a sudden these spurs, these, I call them like bone spurs of hate, have popped up in my life. And not necessarily things that I've forgotten about my childhood. That's not what it is. I don't have any, lost memories of being molested or anything awful like that. But I am saying that as I've gotten older, I'm either being spiritually or, mentally attacked, or I am just going through so much shit for such a long time that I'm starting to finally understand what a mental crisis can feel like. So in the past, I would have kind of poo-pooed it and said, oh, get over it. I mean, my God, man, it's just, you're cloying. I'm tired of hearing about how hard it is. It's not that hard. And yet for me, it has been. It has been extraordinarily difficult. And I found myself stuck in these sort of whirlpools or cul-de-sacs that I cannot break from, Marlee.
Yeah. So
about a year and a half ago, I started doing these mental health podcasts where I would, interview different groups of guys or gals or whatever, and we would just talk about mental health crisis in the world, and hoping that people could hear other people's stories and understand that they're not alone, because even though we hear that, we still feel like we're alone. So what drove you towards being an advocate for this community? And feel free not to shy away from your own story if you feel so compelled to share it.
Definitely. Well, what you're doing is beautiful, and thank you for being honest, because that's step one. People aren't honest about how they feel in their mental health. But I think mental health is like literally the number one thing. Like, it's health, mental health. Like, it's really important. People are like, I don't want to be sick physically, but it's like you don't want to be sick mentally either. And I think more of us are than we would like to say. You can come from a great background, a rich background, who got everything, but you're still missing something somewhere. You can come from the opposite. You're still missing something somewhere. So I honestly see people out of the lens of mental health. Like, when I meet someone, if they're mean to me this day and I don't know them, I've never had a conversation with them, and they're mean to me, I had to learn this, that has nothing to do with me. Somebody might have been mean to them, or they might have lost their job or got in an argument with their girlfriend. So now they're talking to me and they have all this energy to me that has nothing to do with me. So I always try to come with people with compassion and understanding, because that really is the basis of people, is our mental health. But a lot of people don't know is I had a really, really, really rough childhood, like really, really bad. And with all due respect to my parents, because they are loving, they have encouraged me to be myself. They're talented, but my parents had their own mental health issues. So that's really what it was. And now, again, I've learned to see them as people, and I respect that. And we have a great relationship. But in those times, the situation wasn't great. And I've dealt with alcoholism in my family. I have a close family member that suffers from bipolar. So, I've really seen tough times. And it has affected me in my life, but I never realized, because work was so important. So I use work to just keep on moving. I can do as many shows. I can just stay in my head and work, and I don't have to deal with this. But the older I got, I had to. And with the pandemic, I'm sure for all of us, things stopped. None of us had that buffer of work or activity. And then also moving to LA, where things kind of naturally slowed down because I was getting to a new groove. I had to settle into a new lifestyle, and just all those things coming from me leaving my hometown. I never lived away from home, and now I'm across the country by myself. So that was a huge catalyst in me really starting to deal with those issues, because it was really affecting the way I am in relationships, the way that I move, the way that I comprehend people. It's something I really had to work through. I believe in therapy. I believe in group therapy. I believe in watching TV for therapy. Even if something like Married at First Sight, for example, they have like therapists that work on the show, and they talk these couples through things. Like, I believe in all of that. And we as a people, and as a country especially, I'm looking forward to better days as we put that more in the forefront. because it is serious. I've met so many people out here, they have success and they're well-known people. I'm in their house chilling. I look in their eyes and they are empty. They're sad. They're soulless. They want to be around me because they're like, wow, like she's happy,
young and fresh.
Yeah. Like I think that matters more than anything. I want to be happy. I want to be satisfied. I have friends who have record deals and they look at me and, you know, of course my path is different on the way I do things business wise. But you know, you would think that they have that ideal package and it's like, they're not happy and they're not satisfied. And that's my number one goal in life now, is to be happy and satisfied, because that could ruin the best of a situation where you think it may give you that.
Yeah. Wow. That's some great stuff. Yeah. You know, there's something about identity. You know, earlier you said you look at people and they seemingly have everything, but they're looking for something more.
Yeah.
Which is all of our, you know, it's the trend we all share, right? The need to fill the hole with something, with a new toy, money, celebrity, fame, a car, you know what I mean? Just anything to say, okay, I'm okay now because I did this. But the reality is none of it's ever going to be filled because our identities are wrapped around the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to throw this at you because of what you said earlier, but I think the reason musicians specifically, I mean, I really can't speak for other artists like, you know, painters or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Is because I think the reason we're all so similar is we wrap our identity around an end result. We say as children, someday I'm gonna be X. I'm gonna be a famous musician on Saturday Night Live, on the Conan O'Brien show, which is what I used to say. But all these different things because we're kind of told we're supposed to, like, that's part of the dream, is saying it out loud. Someday I'm going to be on Johnny Carson. Someday I'm going to have a record deal with Epic. Someday I'm going to sell 20 million albums. Someday I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame. Someday you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And when none of those things occur, because they rarely occur to anybody, let alone us normal people, is we assume failure almost immediately. We say, see, God doesn't love me. See, I'm not talented. You know, we start believing our own lies that, you know, see, I told you, which is, I believe, why people, I'm not saying why people kill themselves, but I think a huge component of suicide is people saying, see, I told you you'd miss me. But it takes their death to accomplish the very thing that they wanted, which is to be loved and missed and appreciated. But they won't be here to see it because they blew their goddamn head off. And right. And so I think the identity thing is the key. And I'm not going to get all religious on you, because you're a spiritual woman and I'm a spiritual guy, I do like to talk about spirit-filled things because I think it's curious. I think a lot of people don't think about it and they don't understand it and they poo-poo it. But I'm begging people who are listening right now or watching this video on YouTube is please do not discount the fact that our truth lies in the fact that we are people of purpose, and our purpose is how we connect and how we speak into the lives of others. Rockstar Superhero, as much reach as it doesn't have, or as much reach as it does have, is not predicated on reach. It's predicated on me talking to Marlee. It's predicated on me talking to Didier Moens a couple weeks ago. It's predicated on me talking to Graham Russell from Air Supply last year. It's all these things. It's about the interconnection of people. It's not about me asking you the cool, perfect question. It's not about you with the cool, perfect answer. It's about us realizing we're not alone. We are loved. We are admired. We are appreciated. We are lovely people. we belong, we matter, we are epic, we will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of that stuff. It's not about the end result of the Ferrari in the garage and trust fund for my kids.
Totally.
And I'm saying that out loud for myself, Marlee.
Yeah, it took me a while too.
You know,
It took me a long time.
So I'm just saying, I'm sorry, I'm going off on this sort of tangent today, but I think it's talking to you has really brought it to the forefront that we just gotta be us, because we were made amazingly. We weren't made for that end result of just as long as I get to X, it'll be okay. I'll have lived a good life.
Yeah, X never comes. And then once X does come, like you want the next X. So it really doesn't. And I'm so happy that I've learned to place my identity actually back in my own identity. Like, as long as I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, I'm moving forward, I'm okay. Because my life does not look anything like I thought it would when I was first putting out my first project. I was like, if I don't get on, if everybody doesn't know me in 2 years, I'm going to quit. 2 years rolled around and it was nothing like that. But I was gaining a following. My band had a residency. We were touring. We went to South Korea to perform. Like, we were doing these songs. Why stop there? And even now, I didn't think I would be in the rooms or doing things. I didn't think I'd be making film for TV and stuff. I didn't think that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with just doing me and keeping my identity close and not putting it in those things, because those things can change at any minute, any second. Even I could win I could be nominated for a Grammy, but I'm not winning it this year because it's Beyonce Renaissance year. I already said whoever's nominated next to her, I'm sorry, y'all. Bad year.
You're not gonna get it.
You're not gonna get it. I really don't think so. You know, those things shouldn't take away from you, because that is out of your control and it has nothing to do with your worth and talent.
Amen. Yeah, Marlee, I'm telling you, I love meeting you today. I'm gonna cough. I'm sorry. I was sucking in the tears. No, but seriously, I love meeting you today. And I knew this is what was going to be. I just knew it. I knew we were going to connect on this, because there's this, I've been using it a lot lately. I'm sorry, audience, but there is a purity to you, and it speaks volumes before you ever speak. And I think I want you to hear those words, not because I'm blowing smoke up your tailpipe, but because I really want you to know you have a power that is supposed to be there, that was always there. And that power helps you overcome all those crazy little things that tell you you shouldn't be on stage, you're not good enough, you're not in the right place. And here you are. Here I am, so fortunate to have you on my show before you become Beyonce Part 2, excuse me, Marlee XX, right? Before you become the legend that, you know, and again, even if you don't, so I mean, it's hard to overcome that when you want that for yourself, or somebody like me who wants
I just want to make an impact, and this shows what's happening. And I appreciate you for this conversation and for taking a chance on someone you might not have known.
Well, I want to ask you one final thing, which is the XX. What's the deal with that?
It's the whole thing, right? So basically, my band was called Marlee in the Mix.
Gotcha.
And we did so many things. I love Marlee in the Mix. It has such a place in my heart. That band was such a special time and a special thing to me. And unfortunately, we had to part ways. Gotcha. And it was for good reasons. You know, we're amicable. We still get along. We're good friends, but we had to part ways. So it really was an homage just to that. You know, I do the double X thing, like the mix with everything. So that's just become a part of my brand, and I didn't want to break away from it.
Of course, smart.
But now it's become more of a thing, which I'm saying, you know, when I make moves, things start to happen. So I made that decision, and it came to me, like, my project that's coming out next year is called Double X Factor. And it's about, like, you know, how somebody has the X factor,
Yeah.
Like I have the double X factor. Like I have that like extra thing
Right.
that's just me.
Right.
And you can't put your finger on it. You don't know why. You don't know what. I don't know what. But it's just that special thing that's unexplainable. And
Yeah.
that's just my thing.
Okay. Because see, if I'm sure this has been on the tip of your tongue for a couple of years now, but you know, I thought it was a chromosome thing.
That too.
Because you're a female, right?
Yep.
Right.
That
And I was like, man, that's legit. You know, I could just see an album cover, you know, XX equals XY question. You know what I mean? That
okay,
kind of
I
stuff.
like that. No, putting that in the notebook.
Yeah. But look, okay. So you're gonna be a thing. I mean, you already are a thing. You're amazing. I loved meeting you today. I am so honored. Thank you so much. You're the best way to end the year for me. This is my last interview this year. So
wow, I'm honored.
yeah, I'm just blown away by you as a human, and I love your talent, your skills, and I love your dedication to your craft, and I can't wait to see what you do next. So thanks for being here today, man. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me so much.
You're my